Omar, thank you so much for joining us here on the Going Up webcast. It is an honor. Thank you so much for your friendship and making yourself available during this time. And I couldn't really find anybody better than yourself to come on board and speak about this product. Knowing you for as many years as I have, I know how knowledgeable you are, and I really am excited about the value that you're going to bring here to our audience about your specific products. So let's just.
Well,
Yeah.
I certainly thank you for the opportunity. I think this is something fantastic you're doing and absolutely important for people to understand what to do and what not to do in our current situation with the COVID and stone surfaces.
Yeah, absolutely.
Here's to you.
Thank you so much. And so we're just going to dive right into it. And for our audience that obviously doesn't know you or your organization, can you tell us a little bit about your organization and certainly a little bit about yourself?
Well, thank you very much. Absolutely. HS Stone Gallery, I'm the general manager of a company. We're a multinational company that are based in the US and Brazil. As a matter of fact, my location is in Doral in Miami, and our other showroom is in Rio, Brazil. We both have very exotic locations.
Yeah, I see
And
that.
what we do is basically we import natural stone in slab form from all parts of the world. As well as distribute porcelain tiles. Now, our current location in Miami, we carry all the natural stones that you can think of, from travertine to quartz, granites, dolomites, everything that's new. When it comes to myself, my roots go back all the way to 25 years ago, doing commercial and residential projects throughout the U.S. Developed some inlay designs for flooring, and that's where many of my teachings came, of understanding the differences between stone and what to do and what not to do, because not all stones are created equally. So it was a big long school for 25 years.
Excellent. Well, that was my next question, which is exactly how long have you personally been in the industry? You just mentioned 25 years, and
it sounds like a long time, doesn't it? But
certainly,
stone is much older than that.
So some of our viewers are gonna say that's when I was born, 25 years ago. but that is certainly excellent. So my question for you is, we're in extraordinary times at this moment, and you're in Doral, Florida, which unfortunately Florida now is the epicenter.
That is correct.
Within the United States, and so I know this is heart and dear to what's going on with you guys over there. And so, what can you say about your industry in specific? How has it been affected? Number one, and number two, what are you guys doing to mitigate some of these hurdles presented by COVID?
Well, 2020 happened to be a great beginning of the year, a great start for the industry. There's a lot of construction in South Florida and the vicinities, as well as the islands. And as of that point in time, we were very successful in showing clients. Our industry really, unlike retail, where you can go online and buy bottles of water and Lysol, natural stone, you need to be able to experience it, touch it, see it from close by. So our typical time before the pandemic was greeting designers and builders to come and inspect the material. As of March, where by city ordinance we had to close, our focus was really all online. And it was very difficult in that sense, trying to balance how do you show a natural slab, a full slab with multiple details to our designers and builders.
Certainly.
So some of the things we did, and we're still practice as of today, even though we are still receiving clients on a daily basis, the clients who prefer not to visit us, we offer the opportunity of doing FaceTime, Zoom meetings, walkthroughs through the warehouse. As a matter of fact, it becomes quite an interesting situation, because in a video, you're able to do close-ups of the stone, similar to what they would do when they walk into the showroom.
That is awesome, and it's like you mentioned, especially on the stone product. I've experienced it through many years, where in dealing with you coming from Florida, right? It was always it's somewhat of being prepped for this current scenario, right? Where in
Mhm.
and dealing with you from a different state, our format to present the product to the client was always digitally. It was images, it was video, etc. And so it's funny how it's transitioned to that. So speak to us a little bit about that. What have you guys implemented to try to demonstrate those things to the client so they can appreciate it and determine whether a specific species of stone is proper for them or not?
One of the key features when you're dealing with this industry is educating the client. I happen to think that very few of our end users, and in many cases designers, do not know the difference between the different classifications of stone and the applications and hazards of using the wrong stone. So part of our what we do is become consultants to the client. We happen to have a library in a Dropbox format that we can share with clients where we show photographies and we share um, specific criterias of stone. Now, stone is a product of nature, and it will, as such, it'll have combinations of minerals and variables and thicknesses, hardness. So we need to educate the client what to use and what not to use. You always find yourself, and I'm pretty sure it has come to you as well in your elevator company, that the wrong stone, the wrong cleaning procedures will become a disaster for the property owner.
So let's jump right into that, right? So,
Yeah.
um, the biggest question for me when presenting natural stone, aside from the aesthetic, was always a matter of hardness.
Hmm.
Obviously, now the question becomes how viable of a product is this to implement under the current COVID conditions? And so, under your experience, is there a particular stone species or species, several stone species versus others that work best under these conditions as it pertains to what they're going to go through in terms of sanitation?
Well, the because there's criteria on different stones and mineral compositions,
Yes.
you need to understand, or the property owner needs to understand what not to use and what to use. Every stone has different methods of sanitation. The important here thing, Victor, is what not to use. If you use the wrong product, you can damage the stone because it's no big secret. Just to give you an example, marble. Everybody knows that you do not use acidics in marble
Right.
because it'll corrode. So you don't use it in kitchens because you have lemon juice, you have vinegar. So that's a big no-no. So common sense tells you that you're not going to go find that Windex with lemon juice in it, or any cleaning solution with acidics. Now that is different when you deal with granites and quartzites, which are crystals. Those are not corroded like marbles and limestones do. So it's very important for the client to read the labels and understand what they have first of all installed before they proceed, and not to get into any trouble. Now, believe it or not, and I'm sorry to interrupt, believe it or not, the best cleaning solution for all stones is mild dish soap,
Interesting. Interesting.
regular dish soap and warm water.
And
Now,
yeah,
if you want
yeah.
to get fancy, you want to go with the higher products that says suitable for stone. But if you don't have any other option, the best one for all stones would be mild liquid soap.
That is extremely interesting. You're not the first one, obviously, through this webcast so far that has mentioned that combination to sanitize
Mhm.
the surface. Following up on that, would you say that there's any setback or any deterrent to one of our clients to use a antibacterial or a soap that has antibacterial properties to them?
Some of the antibacterial soaps that you would normally use have components like ammonia or vinegar
Okay.
in them, even in small proportions that could damage marble surfaces or limestone. Um, my suggestion, if you're going to do something as such, is make sure that is stone safe. Let's keep in mind that counters or walls made out of stone, especially a kitchen, requires a lot of cleaning. Okay. And just because the surface is shiny It doesn't mean that you're going to go out there and get Windex, the same thing that you use to clean a mirror. It doesn't work the same way. Stone has minerals that if you put the wrong component, like small components or vinegar, eventually it will dull the surface.
And so my follow-up question to that would be, is there a list of items, say for example, you mentioned obviously anything that's acidic with marble. So anything that has ammonia, any specific chemicals that our client base should be aware of, a list of 3 or 4 items that they can go back to their label and say, these are not the items these are the items I should be looking out for.
Well, one of the things that you should be keeping a close eye is bleach. Now, everybody's using bleach to disinfect your furnitures,
Yes.
your doorknobs. If you don't find the Lysol, you use a composition of 20/80 of bleach and water. Well, undiluted bleach can be very harmful to stone. Now, a composition of 20/80 of bleach
Right.
is mild enough to disinfect the surface and not affect the stone. Anything beyond that, undiluted bleach will certainly damage the stone. I mentioned before glass cleaners. There is components in glass cleaners, and there's even glass cleaners that contain vinegar, which is my next topic. Glass cleaners that you assume that are safe because they're using glass and glossy surfaces should be okay. You shouldn't use. So say no to glass cleaners. And part of the many of the cleaning components that you find in your kitchen right now has vinegar. Vinegar is an acid. Vinegar can damage both dolomites, marbles, and limestones because it will dull. And once you dull a surface of a stone, you have no option but to remove it and buff it through a process of water and sanding. Very costly, very difficult to do. Okay. Most cleaners that you see have alkalines or acid substances. Try to keep away from that. So what I highly suggest is going through your local hardware store. Just for example, Lowe's or Home Depot has an enormous amount of selection as far as cleaners, but there is a section properly for stone. And what you want to do is you want to make sure that the label says safe for use on marble or natural stone. Those are designed to make sure that they don't have the alkalines or the acids that will damage the stone, from the very soft limestone to all the way to a quartzite.
Got it. And you mentioned earlier the differences, obviously, between the different types of stone species that you can find, some softer than others. If somebody were to have, say, for example, a quartz, can they navigate that product line with a better peace of mind? Meaning, there's a specific product that's been used that they've used on other solid surfaces per se that may have some high levels of acid to them, but hey, I have quartzite. It's a harder material, and therefore I should be okay with it. Or it's acid in general is a no-go for any natural stone.
Well, acids has a tendency of diluting or changing the color of minerals. Okay. When it comes to quartzite, quartzite is a natural stone. It's mostly crystallized. Okay, very tight grain boundaries. And in those scenarios, the acids might not affect as much as softer materials. The natural stone is categorized in a range from 1 to 10 in a Mohs scale, MOHS, Mohs scale, which is what jewelers use to determine how hard it is.
MOS, you mentioned.
I'm sorry?
MOS? Mary?
Michael, Oscar, Harry, Sam.
Got it.
Okay. Don't ask me what it means, but basically it's been used since the way old days. And all stones are categorized in that level, whether they're soft, marble's going to be in the 5, quartz is going to be 8 and 9, and the diamond is a 10. Okay. So if you're looking at the very hardest materials that are used in construction, granites for the exteriors of buildings, quartzite for elegant residential homes, those might not likely be affected as much with vinegar. So it might be okay to use them, but keep something in mind. Natural stone, most of the time, has been resined and dyed in quarries to make it look bluer, greener, or whatever makes it more commercially pleasing.
Understood.
So the color that you see in natural stone more than likely might be slightly different when you look at it true nature. When it's all the way down to a warehouse slab, all polished and beautiful, is shiny blue or shiny red. That red is a chemical that was not natural in the stone, and that vinegar or that bleach will change the color.
Got it. Got it. And so, for our viewers, as you can hear
Mhm.
through Omar, um, obviously anything that is acidic, vinegars, etc., those solutions you should stray away from. And
Absolutely.
so, Omar, going back to home solutions that they could possibly make at obviously in their facilities or at home to apply to sanitize and clean the areas, you would say should be what? Right now we've covered just regular soap and water. Anything else that they should be aware of that could potentially be used?
Well, one of the things that's true. We mentioned the soap and water, but anything diluted, highly diluted in water, in minimal concentrations, not in commercial quantities, can be used. This is something that you shouldn't be using for a long extended period of time. You can use it, then use soap and water.
I
Use a
see.
lot of water because remember, soap will leave a slight film on the surface. So after you clean it with soap and water, rinse it off with a lot of fresh water.
Are there any any stone that has a antimicrobial property to it naturally? I came across this with another supplier where it was a metal supplier, and there was a specific alloy that naturally came with antimicrobial properties to them. Is there such a thing with stone, natural stone?
No, it's no, it's not. No, it's not. Unfortunately, stone is a combination of different minerals, and when one component of that stone, one mineral, might be antimicrobial, the rest of the components are not, and they're affected by um, exposure to UV, things of that sort. So no, I would say no. Now there is quartz, which is a man-made stone, and the manufacturers, of course, indicate that there is some antimicrobial properties to the surface of that product. Now, keep in mind that these are resins. This is a percentage of stone and resin, mostly resins. So they're able to embed some of these
Interesting.
components, but it doesn't last forever. It's something that wears off, and eventually you need to find a way of cleaning them and make them antimicrobial again.
Got it. And I think my last question to you, Omar, is going to be if Omar is a architect, a designer, or more importantly, a resident or property owner,
Mhm.
and you're embarking on a new project where you're in love with the concept of using natural stone, what would be your recommendation of what species to go to within the natural stone product line, if COVID is also of a high concern or a priority on the architect, designer, or owner's mind?
Well, if that's a concern, we would consider anything harder than a granite. What I mean by that, there's only a few stones after granite as far as hardness, and that would be granite and quartzite. These being crystals and not having as much dilutable minerals, those would be stronger to chemicals and cleaning solutions. Granite has been used for many years. You see structures lasting for ages in our history, and they will stand the test of time. And they would certainly be a lot easier to maintain than anything that's softer than a dolomite.
Excellent. I appreciate that. And, to our viewers, we're going to go ahead and make sure that um, a lot of these solutions that we've discussed or these chemical properties that we've discussed during this interview, we're going to have them highlighted down in our description below. But
Mhm.
Omar, where on your website or is there anywhere specific within your social media that our viewers can go and obtain or recap some of this information that we've been able to share today?
Well, absolutely. We have in our website, which is under development for a new webpage right now. But this there is certainly the possibility for you to visit the Natural Stone Institute website, which is what I highly recommend, and I recommend to my clients to educate themselves more, especially for an architect or a designer, where they're trying to decide what's the best stone to use. That is their best source at that particular point. Otherwise, we're always glad to help. Our website is available with some of this information. If you want to go deeper, Natural Stone Institute of America is the way to go.
Excellent. And we're going to make sure we put those descriptions below, those links below. Omar, thank you so much for joining us, for
Well, thank you.
being as informative. It was terrific. Always learning something new from you. And to our viewers, if you enjoyed this content, please go ahead and link on the or click on the links below. Please share with those that you feel this would be valuable to, and please subscribe. And Omar, once again, thank you again, and I will speak to you soon.
Thank you for the opportunity. All the best for you and your staff.
Got it, Omar. Thank you.